Hi friends, here's my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Carlton's season for 2021. If you are returning Cats Magpies, welcome. If you are new to the channel and you're watching this for the first time, like, comment and subscribe if you like the videos I'm making. Now, huge shout out to Blue Board and Pommy Nose and My Blue Heaven, because they're the ones I've watched as a Carlton YouTube based, and I think because you're seeing the ones that you know about in AFL football, they're the ones that gave me a shout out, a huge shout out. So love you guys very much, especially Terry from Blue Board and Dan from Pommy Nose. Now, how I review this, there's a lot to talk about under this team, and I think with Carlton, they've fallen away this year. Like, they had, I think it was one extra win, a longer season. So with the longer season and the one extra win, you can argue that some of these games they've had, it would not, and even a short season, if they were longer quarters, they probably would have lost half of them. So I think with the review that Carlton have and the sacking of David T, I think it's a good move. I think, as much as I feel sorry for the way that they treat him, he did come out swinging a little bit in his management as well. That's poor, but I would have said a few things in these press conferences differently. And what I mean by that is by saying, okay, look, if I am the right man to go forward with, happy to coach. If the review shows that, that I might need support or whatever the case is, I'll do it. For him not to have the support at the end of last year and then this year calling for more support, covered a 50 games and not a bad record, but I think, and I'll take this from this on how I'm going to say it, but with Clarkson and Damon Hardwick, they're going through a rebuild. Those teams they had no expectations, and you could argue that Hawthorn won the premiership at a time where it was a bit too early in their rebuild. I think, other than that, you can't really argue too much of that and really think otherwise, because you have to admit, sometimes you get this run wrong. 23 times, conceding 5-goal swings in his 50 games, that's not the right way to go about it. You can't allow that as much as possible. And you think, by going back to the way Carlton play, what is the Carlton game style? Is it the handballing game that they're good at? Or is it the kick-heavy game? Because sometimes it's the coach's game plan to kick mark heavy game where it just doesn't work. Geelong do it better than Carlton. I don't think they're there yet. The players that you bring in, I think, to be honest, I don't think it's been a good to have Zach Williams there. Overpaying him a lot of money, bringing inside as well off the half-back line. I think you got 2 half-back lines, not just a midfielder in that. Again, going after Adam Chera, that now that he wants to go home to Victoria and Carlton's their destination. If I were to be honest enough to say this, I would not do it if I was Carlton. I would not touch Chera. I think with the pick 6 that they've got in the draft, I would look to get a player in. Can I get a better player than Chera, half that wage, and really start using that to my advantage? Surely that's the better way to go about it, and I think that has to be. So the review, and the EGM, I'll say to this, right, the Carlton fans want an EGM, they want to spill the board. I think the board has made some bad decisions, where I feel like the idea is to sack the coach. I don't think it's always just the coach. I think the coach was an issue this time. I think Arnold Bolton, Teague backstabbed him, apparently. Rumours were going around that he backstabbed him enough to say, I can do better than him. And the people at the club were trying to control the decisions on what to do with the rebuild. I think with Stephen Stefani in as a list management from GWS, I think he's done a wonderful job. If it wasn't for how they got rid of Teague and then him undermine the results matter. I think the first 2 years you want to see development and improvement in the list. You're going to have to make that tough calls, and I think at times where Carlton just refused to do that rebuild, they really did, and sometimes you want to see a review or if you wanted to do a rebuild, is that you're going to have to start from scratch if you're going to go for a full rebuild. If it's a mini rebuild at about 2 or 3 years, depending on how much salary cap, and this is just the salary cap now, how can you afford to have him, Chera, Cripps, somehow you're going to have to find ways for, Harry Mackay as well, that you got money for, Zach Williams and Unside. What about Sam Walsh? Like, he might want to have more money as well. So I think that's a bad example. I think that's a real bad example for Carlton. Just don't do it. Don't get yourself a player like Adam Chera when you can do better. Go through the draft now. Start drafting your own players from the draft instead of going to other clubs and trying to get them through the free agency, because it has not worked. A shout out to Eddie Betts and Mark Murphy. I think the culture is poor at Carlton. It has been for a while. You're gonna have to say that it's been poor. The way you treat, you give games to Mark Murphy to get to 300. Now, I think if you play 300 games, you have to earn them. But to drop him, play him as a medical sub, and to whether they dish out for that performance against Port Adelaide, I think that's a real disappointment as well. At times, as much as possible, and it hurts to say that, especially when they're on the ladder. Alistair Clarkson says, no, who knows with Ross Lyon, whether he's the man or Nathan Buckley might be the man. We tend to be quiet when it comes to who we want at Collingwood, but it is what it is with that. So the positive signs for Carlton this year, I thought they played pretty well against us, I think, for one quarter, but I think throughout the game, like against Richmond, against like us early on, I think that can be a positive because you're so close. Now, had too many honourable losses. Like, he played well against Port a little bit the first time. But it's how you lose. Like, you lose to Geelong. The positive was you beat St Kilda. That they beat St Kilda, and I think that's a real sign of development. Development-wise, you got to keep improving and keep playing well. And to perform like you did against St Kilda, and then perform poorly, I think that's a sign of the fellas. And I'll say, the round 2 loss is a bit more disappointing. I said that the negatives of your season, Carltons, and you two Board and Primary Nos, is that, for me, it's the West Coast performance. The Geelong performance, like not kicking accurate. The Port Adelaide performance late on. You beat Gold Coast once and you lose to Gold Coast once, you lose to North Melbourne. I think that is a negative, that you should be beating these teams and realising that here's your chance. But it's not a great start at all. To lose to the Gold Coast Suns, that's a real, struggling signs. Yes, a struggling side at all. Losing to North Melbourne, I think that was the one off when you play 4 quarters of good footy. I think with the wins that Carlton have had, Collingwood the second time, they played one good quarter, and they played well in patches, like for that 5 or 10 minutes in a quarter as well. It's just that you're relying on individual brilliance to get you across the line, and I think that's not good. That's not a good sign for a team. It's a team performance. You might see one player kick 6 goals, but you get it's how you work harder for your goals. It's how you perform as a team. And I thought times probably should have dropped Eddie Betts. I thought times you probably should give Cripps the rest for the season. And Charlie Colonel, he's been a positive for a month. Games, I don't think that I probably would play him. It's been that long. Whether or not he'll stay on next year, who knows? Pretty much you hope he does, because that's the forward line with him and Harry Mackay down there, as well as your 2 tall forwards. What you do with Mitch McGovern, because you're paying him more money as well. And I think that's the signs of, what the fuck are we doing? Such type things. So I think now, looking back on it, it's been a failure. And I'll go through that in a minute. And I'll touch on that briefly, or reason why I say that. The plan was for the expectation Carltons. I didn't think they were going to play finals last year. I honestly did not think that. I think the coaching had to be looked at. I would have preferred assistant coaches in there who are premiership players. So you actually know it's like if you have 2 or 3 of them and you go, okay, well, this is how we go about it. We need to play like this. But, tagged in it, and that's the way that the season performs as well on top of that. So, I think this has to be a harsher rating out of 10. And I will rate the season out of 10. But, other than that, I think that's it. Realistically. So, I think the game plan, Teague is stubborn. I think the game plan should be using a handball game and take the game on for the corridor. Once that corridor gets blocked off and the post is on for when they won against Adelaide, played like 1 quarter or probably more, is that you got to start showing signs that, okay, if the corridor gets blocked off, we'll go out wide, right, we'll slow it down. But then what we'll do is we'll get a player running through the corridor and just like, oh shit, The man on the mark, that got changed, so you can't really move around and block off that corridor kick. So I think now, looking back on that, I think it's not 8 wins, you take that. But realistically, to lose to West Coast, very disappointing. And under-man West Coast team, how can you do it? Geelong and inaccurate kick in that game, and realistically, Carlton could have won that. The Sydney Swans as well. The Giants game, the first time, I think that was a real negative, because a 38-point margin, and it's like, well, how can you perform like that? You got to change something. The second time, that was a positive, because you like to see how Carlton can play, and it was a real honourable loss, the way they went about that game. But to lose to Sydney and to lose to a top 8 team, beat Hawthorn, that is a positive. Beat Collingwood, that is a positive, because it's not that often that Collingwood lose to Carlton that much. Collingwood are a bogey team for Carlton. It's simple as that. And Hawthorn, you put that in there too. So that is a real tick, but the problem is, can you do it? Consistency is the key, and I think that's how you're going to have to play to start well next year. So, despite all that, it is what it is. Now, with this review, they found 20 things wrong. 4 members of the board's been replaced. The assistant coaches are gone, so they're going to get new ones in there. I just think at times David Teague needed more support around the place. I would have got those people in and help out as an assistant or a senior assistant at least. So you can say, Dave, we have to do like this because we conceding a lot of goals, and it isn't as great for that. I think the Carlton board, they need to be more patient in the way they go about this. Sacking coaches, as much as the coaches, sometimes the old Carlton ways of buying players out of trouble and not rebuilding and just refusing to rebuild, that ain't the answer anymore. I'll tell you what is the answer. Go through a rebuild, do it properly, develop your players, then get some players through free agency, and you learn how to play and you add more layers to your game plan. Have a plan B, have a plan C. Malthouse told the board back 2013 that this list is no good. There's not a lot of A graders. They only got into the finals due to Essendon drug scandal. 2014, 2015, they haven't played finals since. So they have to go through that rebuild. It had to be done. Even the early 2000s, if you really wanted to. On top of that. So I'm going to give Carlton season a 4 out of 10. I think mainly because of the way they played. Throughout the season isn't great. Get those wins, yeah, that's why they got a 4. The reason why I didn't go for more is because this group is more of individual brilliance, and it's not playing as a team. I want to see that from Carlton. And I want to see Carlton up playing finals as well. Like Carlton, Collingwood, Gold Coast Suns as well. St Kilda in there. This is how I want to see it. It's basically on what I see in Carlton. To be fair, it's something I want to see more often than not. But what do I expect from next year? I don't know. If it is just line, potential play finals. They set the sights out to playing finals in 2022. I don't like that. Because the next coach who comes in, who you get, what happens if they don't play finals straight away? You got to learn how to develop the game plan on what that coach wants, and then, that takes a used to. So it's not always a a finals chance, isn't it? You're putting pressure on. Like, I like to see, okay, look, we aim to play finals, but we're going to back our coach no matter what. And for that, I can't trust Carlton. I can't trust Carlton enough to go, yes, this team can play finals. So until they start performing on the field, and no more Adam Chura, fuck him. It's not what Carlton needs. It is what it is. So I don't know. I'll have to go through the season predictions, and I'll have a look halfway mark, and I'll go, okay, I got that wrong. I think they might finish around the mark. But next year, I think defensively, Carlton leak more goals. And I don't think that Carlton have a game, a plan B or plan C on top of that. And I think with T, it was all about attack. Once you stop that, you're a huge chance to really stop that. And that's how I see it in my own eyes. So if Carlton want to play finals next year, go through the coach, get the assistants in, get the support around, and start playing better football and learn how to play as a team, because some of these guys are too soft. They should not be playing the Carlton jumper ever again. That's just my opinion. Board has to go. There needs to be accountability as well on top of that. So that's the end of my season review for Carlton 2021. Fuck, it's been a tough ride. Till next time, like, comment, and subscribe. Go the Pies, and I'll see you next time.